Well, I'm Connor Stilwell at the Esports Cave. We opened in June of 2020. We signed our lease in January, and that was before, we were doing all the work in December of 2019. So it was kind of the situation where COVID was barely a whisper at that point. It was starting to make its way into the news a little bit after we actually had signed the lease. So we didn't know this was going to literally drive us kind of into the ground a little bit there. So it was really rough for the first 6 months. And I was talking to a guy last night about this. He moved out to Austin during COVID for school, and now he's going back home because of some family stuff. But that's one of the things that it really hurt my heart to hear. He told me, "You're probably one of the only friends I've made while I was here because of COVID." But that's one of the reasons why I built this place out. Is I wanted to bring some people together and get something that people were already had a shared passion, a shared interest for, to come in and meet other gamers. And we've seen a whole lot of that already, and I'm looking forward to seeing a whole lot more of it. We did an overnighter a little while back, and there were a couple people out on the stage. There were 2 people up on the stage that were friends and played Fortnite together. There was another guy separate from them that came in that was playing Fortnite, and 3 other kids over somewhere else that played Fortnite together. So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to throw together a Fortnite competition. I put the one guy that was alone with the 2 people that came here together to play against the 3 people that came here together, and they loved playing together. And then those 3 people, the one that met the 2 friends, they're still good friends now. So it was a really awesome experience to have them, like that was the catalyst for these guys to meet and share their passion over that. But I decided to build this place out. I kind of got the idea when I saw some other centers, and I had some of my own ideas. I was an audio engineer before I did this whole operation, but one of the things that was really important to me was to put more value into my work. I'm a very strong believer of having a good work ethic and putting out a good product. If you're going to go ahead and do something like audio engineering, like gaming, I'm the kind of guy I want to go and do it right, or I want to do something else with my time that I do want to put the effort in to do right. So I think I learned that ethic when I was in high school bands. And sometimes people get it in their head that like, hey, during band we're here for 12 hours. I'm just going to like kind of slack off for an hour, and it's like that's not going to make that hour go by faster. Put your all into that hour, and then you're going to be so much better at the end of the season, and you leave everything on the fields. And that's a lot of what I've been trying to do with this place is make sure that I'm leaving all of my effort on the floor here. And I think that's what's come out. But yeah, I spent many hours researching and building and putting together a user experience that I think people would really enjoy, so that the technology and everything doesn't get into people's way. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt about audio a lot. Is I would choose tools. Eventually I was playing around with little cheap audio interfaces in my garage, and eventually I'm like, hey, technology is getting in the way of what I'm trying to build here. So mm-hmm. I just went and spent $3,000 on some nicer interfaces so that we don't lose recordings, so that we have 100% reliability, so that the technology, I don't have to think about it anymore. And that's 100% what I've been trying to, the same thing that I carried over here. So what I did was I have 50 high-end computers. I researched the ever-living crap out of these computers to make sure that people have a good experience. The thing that we were talking about earlier, where the technology doesn't get in the way. You can sit down, start playing, and have a great time. I did 2 different monitors for 2 different types of play. I play Elder Scrolls Online. I like a bigger monitor. So I've got my 27-inch monitor that is 1440p and 165 hertz. And on the stage and in my war room, what I did was a 240 hertz monitor that is 1080p and only 24 inches. And a lot of players that prefer first-person shooter games and the like, they prefer that smaller monitor. Yep. So you can see up on my stage what I've done is 66. So the idea was games like Overwatch are going up to 6 players. All other teams are smaller. Like CSGO is another one that I play a lot, and that's teams of 5v5. So we can still fit them all up on the stage and put one team against the other.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. And then broadcast it, and I've got cameras to do that, and all the streaming set up. I've got my streaming booth set up that we can get to later to do shoutcasters and whatnot. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting like schools in and doing tournaments with like full teams. Right now, most of what we've been doing has been teams of 2, teams of 1, competitions where we don't need that many people to come out because COVID's really been keeping a lot of people home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited about getting past some of that where people are starting to feel comfortable coming out again, because this whole time what we've been doing is using CDC recommended cleaners, spacing people out when they're not part of the same group, cleaning everything after every use, taking temperatures at the door, and requiring masks when you're not at your seat. So I think it's a safe way to experience a little bit of camaraderie with your fellow gamers right now. So we did 83-inch TVs up behind the stage so that we can broadcast what's going on any screen. So the idea was I grabbed like the team captain on each team and broadcast that up on the screen so that you can still be standing out here and observe and watch what's going on and enjoy the tournament as a whole.
You're welcome to speak to me.
All right, I think that's everything I wanted to show you out here, so I'll show you some of the other rooms. I've got a war room where I did 8. So the idea was a team that has 6 players, then 2 fills, or maybe a fill and a coach, or 2 coaches, or something like that. They can all play and be around one cluster, and that's the area to do that. And I did those 240 hertz monitors for that. And over here, I've got what we call our party room. I've got my table for people to eat pizza and whatever they want with when they book a birthday party. I got some PlayStations, but this is also where I've got my Nintendo Switches. So we do Super Smash Brothers tournaments here the first and third Fridays of the month, and then I cycle them on Sundays so that they don't have like a Friday and a Sunday back to back. So there's basically a tournament every week for Super Smash Brothers. We broadcast that onto our Facebook right now. I'm going to move it to YouTube. I haven't done Twitch just because I don't want to maintain a Twitch channel right now with daily content, but I also broadcast what's going on in my Super Smash Brothers tournament up on the large TVs. So they liked their smaller TVs to play Super Smash Brothers because that's also a faster response time. But then you can still watch what's going up on the bigger TVs. And I've got a couple of the couches too for people to do some co-op games together. You can move the Switches over there and do Mario Kart, Mario Party, play FIFA together. We had a birthday party the other day that they wanted to do a FIFA tournament. So this is where they were doing their little FIFA tournament. It was great fun. I've also got my streaming room. So I did a green screen, really nice lighting situation, mirrorless camera for the player. I was an audio engineer, so I set up a microphone and preamp combo that I really love. And then the computer is just a little bit better than the ones out on the floor, so I don't have to worry about the extra power that managing the stream takes. I have a couple other areas. We have our 43-inch TVs where I've got games like Spider-Man, some other PS4 single-player exclusives like The Last of Us, and one more 65-inch TV for people who enjoy their sports games like FIFA on the big screen. I try to make gamers feel at home, so we have hot buckets. I did a lot of the frozen foods here so that people can enjoy hot pockets, whatnot, their little snacks while they're eating. I'm doing bigger tables at the next location because I want people to have space to put all of their snacks and whatnot. This is my rock band room. The idea was
She's a rock band player, by the way.
Nice.
I can play one song good on medium.
I can sing a couple of those punk rock songs from the 90s. But I did speakers that I would have taken to a smaller gig when I was an audio engineer. So those really sound like a rock concert in here, and I've treated the room a little bit so you get fewer of the reflections when you hear the speakers bouncing off the walls. This whole wall is just acoustic treatment. It's that insulation. And I've got my Pro Drum set, the 2 guitars, and the vocal microphone on a 105-inch projection screen so everyone can see everything that's going on.
Little Rye says, yes, chicken nuggets.
Yes, chicken.
Chicken nuggets.
I don't think we have nuggets. We've got like the little chicken sandwiches.
I walk by really fast.
That's fine.
Let's go back
Chicken
to
nuggies.
that.
Don't say nuggets, they're nuggies.
Okay, nuggies.
Don't actually do
You
that.
got that wrong, Little Rye.
You got that wrong. Connor says so.
So, Connor, you're not going to show us your geek room?
No, it's messy.
Messy is, yeah, but it's pretty. Any sound engineer would go, what? Come on, that's what shows that's like who you are. We're going into the secret room.
I like to drop my stuff everywhere. I've got those cameras. I was doing a podcast, so I've got my cameras that I use for their PTZ cameras so they move on their own through just Ethernet power. So I've got a power Ethernet switch that'll provide power to the 2 cameras. I could actually add more if I wanted to. So these are the cameras that I usually hang out in the main room. The only reason why I have them down was to do my podcast in here. So speaking of industry opportunities in the industry, I mean, that's another one. Camera operator. I need somebody to like pan those cameras and help put together a good stream for that when that's going on. I've got my touchscreen monitor for audio. Ooh, that's not good. It's probably something to do with the resolution, because I moved to this Mac Pro to do something else while I was doing an April Fool's prank. I told everyone they were going to replace everything with Macs, so I was using that silver tower for that. But I've got a couple channels of RME preamps. That's really like a nice broadcaster quality microphone. I'm replacing this Apex with some audience preamps. I've got my Neves down there. Some Neve Porticos, the original Porticos. So I've got 4 channels of that. I have some nice microphones. I like my, I'm a big fan of blue microphones. So I've got my baby bottle right there. I've got a couple of the Bluebirds. I like, I ripped out some guts of some other microphones and put in a U87 clone. I got a bunch of the other nice dynamic microphones, like your MD421s, your RE20s. I don't know how much of that is right here, but yeah, that's the interface system that I was talking about. That like, I've got RME interfaces. Excuse me, I've got RME converters. I got Ferrofish converters. Those guys are rock solid. I put in some RME interface in my computer. That's a PCI card. That's giving me rock solid performance. So I never see that sucker crash. I'm never like losing my audio interface on the money take, right? All my reliability in the studio comes from the Mac, but I'm thinking about replacing it with a PC soon.
I love how you say the end user, that experience element is key.
End user can forget about the technology, and that's what happened for me with my audio interfaces. That's what happens to me sometimes with these computers. I researched the hardware. I found what's going to give people the best performance at a price that they're actually going to like, at a price that's going to keep them coming back so that they can enjoy new experiences with new people. And I built that. And there were some opportunities where we were looking around and going like, well, hey, we could downgrade from a 2070 Super to a 2060 Super. And I said, you know what? I'm looking at the performance difference. I want that 2070 Super because now you can get your 240 frames per second on our monitors at 240 frames, and you can get your 165 frames per second on those bigger monitors that have that lower refresh rate. So, yeah, and not just that, but the stability, like the motherboard. I did a nice motherboard so that that sucker's going to work. And people definitely come in, and people have bought way more expensive computers than what I put in with wrong components, and then they don't have as good of an experience. I'm like, well, my computer costs half as much and is getting you better performance. And then there's the internet too, which I did the right internet. We did the fiber here, so it's dedicated fiber.
So I'm guessing are you 1 gig up and down? Are you?
We don't need 1 gig for gaming.
Okay.
We did 200 meg, and we can just call up the company and increase that if we so need to.
Sure.
200 meg has been fine because, I mean, you look at these games and it's like I filled up the center once with like 33 people all playing Fortnite, and we're using less than 50 meg, and part of that is my stream that I was running. Right. You don't need a whole lot for games. You look at the average game and you're under 5 megabit per second. So
yeah, our needs were higher because we were broadcasting, producing a lot of stuff, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
I'm never going to be doing more than like 2 streams here, right? Maybe 3 at the most. One in my streaming room, maybe one out back, and maybe a 3rd stream just to walk around and show off some stories. Never more than that. So our internet is perfectly fine. We actually have a coax line, so I could run a separate stream on there.
So if someone said to you, Connor, I want to be a business owner in the world of gaming and esports, when I ask you that, what first comes to your mind? What would you say to someone?
I'd tell them to make sure that they're ready for the challenges that are going to come, the sacrifices that they have to make. Any business, and running any business is going to come with sacrifices. With esports, one of those is going to be you're sitting there sometimes just watching everyone else have a good time, and you don't get time to sit down and play the games. I've been a lot better at trying to make myself put on employees that I have the time to go ahead and have a little bit of fun. And at first, especially because of COVID, that ruined a lot of our plans. We were planning on being at the point where I am now. Probably a good 8 months ago is where we were hoping to be at that point. But You know, it was a bunch of months of me being here 80 hours a week. We're open every day a week. So, you know, if you're struggling for a bit and you're the business owner, that's you that's going to be on for all of that time. We just saw Justice League come out, the Zack Snyder cut, and I was excited to go watch that. And it's like we just couldn't find time to sit down and watch it. So now we're doing it like at an hour increment at a time because that's when we can find time to do it because I'm here 80 hours a week. Well, my parents are in with me on this a lot.
So you've got a lot of support.
A lot of support from the
back
from my
end
parents.
stuff. A lot
absolutely.
of Okay, so
Yeah, my dad's doing a lot of the finances. My mom's been a great help doing all of the. Well, my dad's been doing all of the finances. Yeah, my mom's been a great help helping book birthday parties, figure out stocking, things like that.
don't we love moms and dads?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine, you know, I saw some people doing this without that kind of support. I'm like, I can't imagine. I'd be pulling my hair out by the roots if I had to figure out an effective social media campaign and then manage payroll the next hour.
So one of the things that we were talking about in another piece of content was how important it is to have some kind of support system behind you. Because trying to do this, like you're saying, 100% by yourself, almost undoable.
I think that there's kind of a filter there that's going to stop people from doing it because how would you even build out a place like this and find the place and do the business plan on all of that? I can't imagine somebody getting to that point where they actually get locked into a lease on their own. But if somebody did, yeah, that would be rough. There's just like in games, none of it's a solo sport, right? Life has never been about being a solo sport. To me, I've been an audio engineer, so I'm never the guy that's up in the guitar rock legend up on the stage, just an absolute hero that's putting all of the awesome music out. No, I was always the audio engineer behind the stage, and I'm part of a team. Well, even that guy that's an amazing singer, an amazing guitar player, he's still got the drummer behind him, right? Even if you don't consider the audio engineer and all of that support. So that's always been something that's incredibly important to me, is being part of a team. And then, like I said, from marching band, I leave everything out in the field and make sure that my part of that team was as good as I can make it, and sometimes not worry about the rest. And that's how I feel. I kind of carry that into my games a little bit too. I play Elder Scrolls Online, and I'm the tank. So I don't get to be like that hero running in and doing the big damage
You're
on
the
the
support
boss.
guy,
But
yeah,
I am going toe to toe with that boss and supporting my team and making sure that, like, hey, my team doesn't have to worry about this stupid little thing because I've managed it. And even if the DPS is lacking, it's like I know that I left that team everything that I had to give that team.
And we all know DPS are the heroes. They're the quarterbacks. They're the ones that get all the attention.
Absolutely.
Right? Healers and tanks, forget about it. We don't want it.
No, but
they're super critical.
Absolutely. And,
Okay, so
that's how I feel working on this part and the kind of effort that I put in. And that's one of the things that actually playing Elder Scrolls is one of the things that inspired me to open this place. Once I saw the idea, and actually, what kind of was the catalyst was somebody reached out to my dad with a franchise idea. And I looked at it and hated it. I'm like, I can do this better, Dad. But the fact that he was open with it was kind of like something that was always in the back of my mind. I built a lot of computers for studios and built them with rigs. And I mentioned that I built a really expensive setup for my audio engineering rig. I built that for tons of other people and made a lot of money doing all of that for some studios and some smaller projects. But that's where my passion really lied, was like, I almost enjoyed setting up a kick-butt rig more so than I enjoyed operating it. Not that I didn't enjoy operating it, but sometimes just geeking out over it. I've got all of these plugins and toys that I can use. It's cool, it's great fun, and that's what I enjoyed about doing this place. So it was always in the back of my mind, and I want to set people up with a good gaming experience, with a good computer experience in general, whatever they want to do with their computer, in this case gaming. So the moment that I saw my dad was open to it, I'm like, hey man, I can do a really cool experience here that'll bring a lot of people together. So we ran for it, and it was experiences like Elder Scrolls Online where, we're separate. I'm talking to people on Discord while we're doing a raid, and I make friends that are, every bit as real as the friends that I made in school or anywhere else, right? And there were other experiences that I had, like I played Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and it was this experience that described psychosis in a way that no other medium ever could have, because this video game made you actually experience some of those symptoms, like your reflection talking back to you, things like finding patterns that don't exist in like the wall, right? And looking around and saying, oh, there's this pattern there and it means something. And you're now, some people found it too intense to do some of those puzzles because it's like, it just doesn't make sense. It's like, well, that's welcome to the world of psychosis. So some people wrote back to Ninja Theory after playing that game and said, hey, I felt heard for the first time in my life. My dad had psychosis, and I don't, not me. They're writing Ninja Theory. My dad had psychosis, and I didn't know how to talk to him. And now after playing Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, I do. Someone else said my son was going to commit suicide, and after playing this game, he changed his mind. I've been chasing that kind of life change for people here ever since, and Hellblade 2 is coming out. I'm really excited about that to see what else Ninja Theory can add to that story and how they can help other people out.
So
but
we
absolutely had somebody come through who they said, hey, if it wasn't for my son having this place to go to right now during COVID and having these friends to come with, I don't know if you'd be here right now.
I have stories from all over the world very similar, that they're very grateful for the content that I produce because it's a safe, non-toxic environment. I have people that have reached out, hundreds of people that have reached out with depression when, our content, our community's gotten them through it, given them vision and hope. I can see that you're emotional about that and feel deeply, and that's very, very important because I work with a lot of former military personnel, there's the suicide rates. Gaming has been a collective opportunity for people in a safe way and large to come and be able to be related to, regardless of your circumstance, your background, your gender, anything. We welcome everyone. And I have had people that have literally told me, you have saved my life. And all I'm trying to do is make them feel welcome, and then they can relate to other people. So I'm with you 100% on that. That is incredible.
We had people coming out that, like, one of them was very open with telling me that, like, he has autism, and because of that, sometimes it's hard for him to make friends and feel like he belongs anywhere. And I think maybe some of those people, they felt like they belonged somewhere.
And they don't get that in general. In gaming, and that's one of the things, if you ever watch and people talk with me about my content, when I said I'm hyper protective of the community, it's for that reason.
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about some of the opportunities that I've built and that I'm going to build around esports that aren't just gaming. I mean, everybody already knows, like, there's real opportunity to play games both as an entertainer or in the pro leagues. But not everyone has the knack to do either of those things, and the reality is there's a massive industry around this. As we all know, one of the things that I set up was there's a club that meets here for their Fortnite team, for the junior Fortnite team, and there's kids around 14 and younger, some of them as early as 8, and those little kids are funny sitting there standing up with a little controller around their screen. But there's a coach here that teaches them strategies such as effective communication, such as effective planning, and strategies that you can use to do better, if not actually win your matches more often. Things that are also away from the keyboard, like drink water, hydrate yourself, and make sure that you're fed and that you're fed well, because it's a real sport that you have to actually keep your body in tune to do some of this to your best ability. So that coach, I mean, I just like kind of hinted at a bunch of other career paths. For serious esports people, esports competitors, you need nutritionists, you need people that are getting them physically in shape, you need managers for all of them, like they're any other talent needs managers and a whole team once you get to that point for promotion and all of that stuff. But right now, I mean, we've got our coach where it's like anyone with a positive attitude that knows the game to an extent and likes teaching these kids how to live their best life. They can coach a group of kids to be their best. And I mean, around that industry, we also had the people that were planning out the curriculum for a whole host of other centers that are doing the same type of curriculum. So there was somebody planning out that curriculum. There was somebody managing promotion for all of that. And that's a big one that I struggle with as an entrepreneur. I have to do a lot of these things by myself, such as promotion. So I mean, that's a huge thing that some of the upcoming generation understands better than my generation older ever will, is the social media aspect. How do you promote the games, the centers, the matches, all of these things, promote the brands in general for different competitors? How do you do all of that? So there's a massive industry, alone. You could build giant companies around promoting different aspects of the esports industry. We also broadcast mostly our Super Smash Brothers tournaments. We broadcasted a few other tournaments, but around broadcasting the tournament, you need people. I'm building out a new location for my second Esports Cave. but I'm building out a set, like an ESPN type commentator booth for esports, and I'm building out a separate video room. So around that, I've got shoutcasters that are going to have to be working on talking to people, relaying the information of, hey, I know what's going on in this game, and maybe I'll relay the things that you might miss. And the shoutcasters are sometimes very important to keeping the stream entertaining, to keeping people informed about what they're actually watching. You've got other commentators and analysts that like talking on these shows. And in the video booth, you've got people that are putting together the whole stream, figuring out, technical problems, all of this support for that, the networking guys that do all of this. And then you probably have a director telling those video production guys, here's what I want to see, here's what we got to do, here's what we got to tell our shoutcasters and everyone, and putting the stream together and watching it on another stream to make sure that it's all going smoothly. So that's a massive industry. Like I said, I was an audio engineer. That's a massive industry around putting a production in, sound guys, video guys, and then just around operating like a camera or something. You've got your camera operators. You can put all of this that is happening in the movie industry into esports industry to put together these really nice professional looking streams.
And giving people an opportunity to have hands-on experience in doing it, and build a portfolio, because in the end, that's what employers or opportunities are going to look for down the road. Show me your reel. Show me your book of work.
These are absolutely skills that can carry you on, not just in the esports fields. And some of the things that I was talking about with communication and hydrating and stuff that the coach is going to be teaching, these aren't skills for just esports. I mean, I need to do it for myself. I lost 30 pounds since January because I wasn't feeling good, and I went and I started eating healthier, started working out every morning, started getting my body to where it's a little bit more toned, and I feel like I can work a whole lot better. I can sit here and do all these things. I have the endurance to go do a game at night after I've already done all of my social media stuff, after I've helped clean, helped with my training my new employees. And I have been training new employees, which is another aspect of the esports industry where you can work in places like this, where you can run places like this, help manage them, help keep them clean, help make sure that people are having a good birthday party or whatever they want to do here, help the tournament go smoothly. That's a massive undertaking as a tournament organizer. Keep the bracket, keep people showing up on their station on time, go crack the whip when it's like, hey, where are you? Why are you outside having a smoke when you're up in 2 minutes,
So a lot of people ask me, one of the most common questions I get is, how do I get started? And what you have just described is how you get started.
There's a million different ways that you can just get your foot in the door and start doing something that actually will pay well, and could develop into an entire career. I mean, right now I could use more shoutcasters because I've only know a couple that aren't really shoutcasters. They're just kind of hype guys, and I'm like, hey, you're who I know right now, and you're who will show up during COVID. Can you help me out with this? Well, I mean, that could, if they wanted to keep working on that, that could turn into a serious career opportunity. But in the meantime, myself, and I'm sure a lot of centers like me, are willing to say, like, hey, if you go to somebody like me and say, I want to shoutcast for you and I want to help build the stream into something, I'm not going to say no.
Awesome. All right, so I want you're going to take us on a tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, this is look at other important people. Guys, you definitely need to check this place out. If you're anywhere in this area, in the Austin area, you need to get over here. I guess you could take these off. Meet Connor and his staff. They're doing things the right way. You're talking about opportunities in esports and gaming that they're actually providing pathways for you to be able to get there. So stay tuned. Check these guys out. There'll be a bunch of TikTok content as well.